recruitment, team building, giving yourself more time to do the things that you really want to and focus on your superpowers is fundamentally key to your business growth. So today I'm going to break down how I have made the biggest investment and the biggest hire in my history of business since 2006, and how, if you're thinking about taking on your first employee, your third employee, maybe even your 10th employee, how you can simplify the journey from recruitment right the way through till passing their probation. This question has been rearing its head with my leads to lifestyle clients, the lifestyle business owners that I really help to build their business, income and lifestyle they truly love. And I think it's really important that, having had 69 employees on my team since 2006, so I think it's really important that I share the failures that I've made and what has worked more recently, so that you can go away and feel confident in your recruitment journey. So the first thing is the recruitment process. Lots of people say to me, Gary, how do you find your recruits? Well, my recent hire, our head of operations that is just about to join us, I found through recommendation and referral. So the first thing to say is, the more senior the role or the higher the caliber of the individual, I think that is going to come through network, through knowing people. But everybody else on my team, Kiefer, who is standing behind the camera, Camilla, who joined me almost 2 years ago, Zoe, who joined me last year, and Molly, who joined earlier this year, have all come through simply advertising on Indeed. Now, Jamie, who's my advisor that joined us last year, also came through network. He attended one of my events and I pitched him on joining our team because he had the right mindset and, equally fortunately, the right skill set. So taking us back to Indeed, you need to define the ad. And first thing, find the salary in your local area. Look at an ad that you want to leverage for the role that you want to fulfill. Make sure that you include what you want, but also what you don't want in the individual or in the skill set, and treat it like a funnel. You might get 80 people who apply for your job advert. The goal is to go through that initial number of people that apply and immediately weed out the chaff. They've got a nice red X button that can get rid of those ones. Once you've then shrunk that list down to the ones that you think are very good, I hit the templated message button, further information, to say, hey, you've applied for this job. Can you tell me why you think it would be a good fit? It's a templated message. It's easy. Everybody who doesn't reply gets binned. Not going to chase them, not going to follow up. The ones that do reply, I will look at if they've answered with one word, as some people do, binned. You know, if they put a bit of time, energy and effort into their response, wicked. I will then progress those ones to a 15-minute Zoom conversation, which is really a do I like you conversation and do I think you'd be a good fit for our culture. I would always rather recruit mindset and cultural fit over skill set, because you can train skill set. So let's say I speak to 10 people on Zoom. Out of that, I might like 5. So out of those 5, I will then get them to do a personality profiling tool. We use one called Contribution Compass, which is absolutely fantastic. If you need more information, hit me up, I'll share it with you. And out of those ones, they will then come to, all of those 5 will come to a face-to-face interview. That personality profiling tool will give me a little bit more insight into them as an individual and where their skills are best set. And then out of those ones that I've interviewed face-to-face, I may invite them back for a second interview where they meet one of my team. Obviously, if you're solo, you don't have that ability, but I would most definitely get someone you trust and know who knows you well to have at least a conversation with them on Zoom. Many of my leads to lifestyle clients do that with me. I've interviewed several people this year already for leads to lifestyle clients, just to give a second opinion and just to do some challenging questions. And then you should end up with the one that you want to hire off of the back of that. Now we're down to the one person that we want to employ. We need to send them a job offer letter. And that letter is just going to break down all the key things that they need to know. Hours of work, job title, salary, holiday pay, etc. And I would send that out by electronic signature, put a deadline date on there that I would expect it to be responded to. In some instances, as a little idea for you, with Kiefer again, I actually got him to show me some of his work. I sent him a video, got him to edit it, got him to send it back. No, so don't be fearful, depending on the role, to get people to do a skills-based test as part of your assessment. But once you're happy, job offer letter goes out, and then you agree the start date and you get them ready. When they join you on that first day, the most important thing is not just chucking the phone and a laptop at them and saying, here's your job. One of the things that we do is making sure that we have a little active pack that we give them. We give them a coffee mug, we give them a hoodie, we give them a water bottle, we give them things that are meaningful to us as a brand and as a business, to make them feel part of the team. The first week then is the most important. This is where it is thinking about the fundamental tasks that you really want to do and focusing on one at a time. If you give them too much to do, it becomes overwhelming, it becomes frustration. You've got new personalities, you've got new systems, you've got new environment, you've got everybody sussing each other out. It's like the first day of school, if you can remember back that far. I get people to shadow me a lot in that first week, and will just be a case of, cool, I've done that now. Do you think you can give it a go? And then getting them to do that. Depending on the role, it might be a case of answering the phone and listening to you answer the phone, them answering the phone, and so on. Really break it down into step by step, and don't worry about giving too much. The key thing and the harsh thing is that it shouldn't take you any more time training your new recruits than you would normally spend. What it might take you is a little bit more brain power, because you have to explain things that little bit more. You have to think 1 or 2 steps ahead. You have to slow down everything that you're doing so they can follow along. And if this is your first hire, one of the most important things that I would get them to do is to write a checklist of the tasks step by step as you're doing it and as you're speaking it, because that is technically creating the SOP, the standard operating procedure for doing that task that they will be able to refer back to. So that's week number 1. Slowly but surely what you'll find as we move on from week number 1 is you'll be able to let go that little bit more. But it's really important that you don't just abdicate, and you really importantly delegate. You will still need to be checking that tasks have been completed the way in which you want them to be completed for potentially up to 90 days. That 90-day period is really important. It can take a lot of people 90 days to feel more comfortable in the role, to feel more confident in the role. And I promise you, many times you will sit there and question why on earth you have made this decision, why you have brought that individual in. That's nothing against you. That's nothing against them. It just sometimes takes people that little bit longer to get used to it. But you should know by the end of 3 months, that's why typically most probationary periods are 3 months, whether you want to keep that individual on, whether you see promise, whether you see potential, or whether it's time to bite the bullet and say, look, we're not going to be continuing this any further, or we're going to be continuing on your probation another 3 months because of ABC. It's really important during that 3 months that you're doing daily check-ins, a summary at the end of the week, getting them to send you the tasks that they've actioned. You shouldn't be you doing these things, they should be feeding back to you. A Teams chat is really good for them to document what they're doing and where they're going, so you've got a constant log of what's going on. Definitely doing, bi-weekly or monthly one-to-ones, and then definitely quarterly reviews thereafter. The process should never be scary. The process should be something that, as long as you're recruiting in a slow way, I always remember the saying, hire slow, fire fast. It's really important that you stick to that when bringing people into or out of your business. But when getting rid of them equally, follow the 3-strike rule. People can make mistakes. Some things do happen. It's also important to identify, is it a people problem or is it a process problem? Because I've had problems with a person in my business recently, but it's not through their fault. It's because they're too overworked, the process and the systems isn't clear enough, and because they're stressed and overworked and doing too much, there have been mistakes and errors that were made. They were never done on purpose. There was never a lack of communication. It's just given me the insight that we are at capacity and we need to grow. Hence, head of operations coming in next week. So I suppose the thing to finish on is, how do you know when the right time to recruit is? As I mentioned, we know the right time to recruit is because we're at capacity and service is being dropped. Communication has been a challenge. Processes and systems aren't clear enough. There are already signs of breakages, of leakages, of issues, not caused by the person, but caused by the lack of elements in the business. Really understanding what your true capacity is. And to put this in context, my wife's a hairdresser. If every client that she had took an hour and she could only do from 9 till 5, she's only going to be able to do, allowing for lunch, of course, 7 haircuts or colours in a day. Everybody has a capacity. So in order for her not to be stressed, and if one client overruns or the color doesn't quite take or something like that, she might choose to only do 6 clients that day to give herself a little bit of break in between each one. You need to know what your capacity is. If you're not managing your leads efficiently, if you're not maximizing every opportunity, if you're working 12-hour days, if you're doing 6-day weeks and it currently isn't your lifestyle you want to be living, you need to hire. My one rule that I learned from many years ago was, as long as you can afford 50% of the salary, you can afford to bring somebody into your business. Because as soon as they come in, by delegating 10%, 20%, 30%, maybe even 50% of your role, depending on their experience, means that you will be able to put your time, energy, effort into driving new sales, into generating new leads, which will increase the income of the business and cover their cost. 50% of the salary is the key. And here's another hack for you. I always recruit 1 week before the end of the month. Why? Because it means that actually I've got 5 weeks until I'm due to pay them, which means it gives me an extra week to earn that money back to cover the cost of their salary as well. Team is a big part of what we help our clients in our coaching business, our training business, to overcome, to build through, to gain more confidence. So if you're struggling with recruitment, you're struggling to let go in order to be able to grow, then reach out. I'd love to help you take your business to that next level to achieve the business, income, and lifestyle that you truly love. Thanks very much indeed for tuning in. Remember, now's the time to become pro.